everyone, Danny here with Question Pro. Today I'm joined with my co-host Dan Fleetwood and Crystal Weiss for our MRX Unplugged episode 7. This is question types and when to use them. It's a little bit more of a simpler topic, just kind of talking about surface level, the question types that you might want to use, where to use them, all that good stuff. But let's have our co-hosts introduce themselves. Let's start with Dan.
All right, thank you. I'm Dan Fleetwood. I'm the president of Research and Insights here at Question Pro. I'm happy to join you. Thank you for having me go and not Crystal and I fumbling through who should go next.
Took us 7 episodes, but we're doing it.
Yeah. We're getting there, guys. I was also distracted reading a Slack message, so I didn't have time to interrupt Dan. As always, I'm Crystal Weiss. I'm the director of marketing here at Question Pro, and I am simply here for the color commentary.
Wonderful. And I'm your host.
We're all based in Austin, Texas, which I don't think we've all talked about before. So let us know where you're from in the comment section, because we all live in the same place and we love talking to people in other places.
Yeah,
it can be pretty cool. That's a brief survey question right there.
Getting
the party started.
Nerd alert.
That's like kind of an open-ended question.
It is. Well, that ironically enough is going to be the second one that we're going to do. We're going to start off with closed-ended questions first.
Nice.
So some of the types that you have seen, some of the survey questions that you have probably seen have been mostly close-ended. For example, the one that I think everyone has interacted with at least once, if you've been in school, is called multiple choice, and was actually, ironically enough, also the first video that I ever did when it came to survey question types for my TikTok stuff that I do. But yeah, multiple choice, yes or no, rating scales, those kinds of things are the survey question types that we have. So what is your guys' experience when it comes to more close-ended questions? Where do you guys apply these? How do you guys use them? Let me know.
Yeah, I mean, close-ended question types are the meat of surveys, I would say. Like, that's the bulk of the questions. And then I know we'll talk about it. Then you get into a little bit more open-ended question types, but
are those like potatoes?
Yeah, that's the potatoes, I guess. The meat and potatoes for the full meal.
Meat and potatoes.
So no, I mean, multiple choice question types are certainly important. You can also have called single select, which are essentially you can only select one of the answers, or multi-select where you can select multiple answers. So those also lend itself to the more the multiple choice question types. But yeah, no, I mean, those are like a staple of the survey world for sure.
All right.
I wouldn't really know. Do you think that sometimes people use those question types in circumstances where they wouldn't consider it a survey, but it really is a survey? Do you think if they're sending out a poll, or they're sending out a form?
Yeah, for form for sure. I mean, I see people use it all the time for even just gathering information and hey, select what you are. So yeah, I mean, it happens all the time.
You're like, this is a survey.
Yeah. But it's more gathering information could be for anything. So.
And then how would you distinguish between what's more considered like a quiz than a survey? Because let's say, for example, like BuzzFeed, right? Oh, go ahead.
When a quiz has a correct answer or a scoring system,
I think so.
Ding, 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 ding. We have a winner.
That was a quiz. I got it right.
Well, there you go. Yeah, because I mean, I feel like a lot of people, have when you hear multiple choice, it probably comes to mind the school tests and all that stuff where you have to pick an answer. But I think multiple choice here, it really just applies to people's opinions and preferences, which obviously is what market research is for. But yeah, I mean, when would you use close-ended questions when it comes to market research? Would you say, I don't know, like product design or more for quantitative data?
I feel like if you watched last week's episode, you would know the answer to this.
Yeah.
Tell us about quantitative research, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a particular type. I think it's more of the information that you want to collect in the survey. So it's, like I said, it's pretty much a staple of when you'd want to use it. So it's not so much, hey, I'm going to do customer sat research, or I'm going to do product research or concept tests. It's more of a question type that you'd want to use to collect, uniform data, meaning I know what answer choices I want to ask my respondents, and this is what it is. So it could be any question, or any survey type or study type rather. It's more about the type of question that you're asking for the answers that you're trying to get.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know for sure that at least with multiple choice, you can select one answer and, like you had mentioned, multiple answers. And what kind of situations would it be really beneficial to choose more than one answer for multiple choice, I guess, or offer respondents the ability
Like,
to do that?
which of the following social media platforms have you used in the past week? And then you would select that. You wouldn't want to use it in like an age question because, people can only be one age. So
Sometimes right answers.
yeah.
Like you can't, like demographic wise, it's like, how many boxes do you want to choose? Like typically you would only choose one, but it's a right answer for you. It's not a right answer to the question, right?
Yeah. So to go back to the social media example, that might be what you'd ask, how many have you used or what social media platforms have you used in the past week? But then if you'd want to ask like, what social media platform have you used the most, then you'd want to use a closed-ended question or a single select, because you can only use one the most. It's not like it's black and white there for sure. So.
Someone indecisive might actually end up picking two answers. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm going to raise my hand though today. Dan, I would like to ask Dan then why, since we did not dive into it last week, why did I get made fun of for using multiple choice questions when I first started and still sometimes trolled for it?
I don't remember that.
Ah, dang it.
The only way I can think you may have gotten trolled for it is if it truly only had like one answer, or you only wanted one answer, but you used a multiple choice question for it. So
I just remember
I don't remember that. It traumatized you, I feel like.
So,
We should probably talk about this offline.
multiple choice questions are for noobs. It just lives in my soul.
I think maybe also because it's like one of 50 plus question types that Question Pro has. So
yeah, that's
maybe
true.
why.
We do have a lot of other questions. There's a lot of like, I think that's where market researchers either go too far or not far enough, is that they don't realize you can gather the same amount of data, like the same information, using such different kinds of questions types. And they really, I would say, like maybe out of laziness or traditionalness or like non-creativityness, like aren't like, oh, you know what? Like I could do a slider, or I could do like the image. We have like a card sorting image thing that's really fun that you can apply in a lot of different ways, like BuzzFeed style as quizzes. Like they don't think innovatively on how to use question types to make interesting surveys.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because I think if a researcher does have the respondent experience in mind, then they will use more interactive question types, like even like a slider or like a smiley ranking or a thumbs up, thumbs down for a yes or no question. Just ways to make it more interactive and entertaining, and kind of take the respondent out of the norm of yes or no, or 1 through 5 scales are pretty common. So yeah, no, it's a good point, and I think it's something that we need to be aware of, especially as there's more dropout rates, completion rates are declining, and so forth. So it's something that I think more and more researchers should keep in mind as they're developing surveys.
Yeah, because that's one of the things that I was learning when I was doing my research for that content that I was creating, was like, I noticed there was a lot of repeats. Like obviously you could do like a Likert scale where you're just, sliding things over instead of just clicking on something. Or there's also like the smiley faces where you can rate something from like 1 to 5 still, but you're using like different images. And I'm not too sure if there's like certain distinctions that come with it. Like maybe instead of using smileys, you use stars because it's traditional to something like Yelp. And you want to create that familiarity or something. Or if you want to use smiley faces because it's just more geared towards the younger demographic. So yeah.
You can also upload custom smileys and custom images to do your scales in Question Pro. And do you think it's because sometimes it gets into the like poshness of market researchers? Like The back end
Can't make it
reporting
fun.
is still 1 to 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, posthumous, I've never heard it put like that, but
Well, I was trying to,
I
I
think
was like
it's, I,
already thinking, because yesterday they frustrate, no offense, market researchers, you're all lovely, but you frustrate me sometimes.
it's more, I think traditional market researchers, and I mean people that maybe been in the game for a little bit, they could think, and if they're, I don't know how much it really matters, but this is what some of the thought might be, is that, hey, if I use like a smiley ranking, it could bias like the respondent, right? Because like a smile to you might mean different than a smile to me. And when people use those different emojis for those smiles, they could mean different things to different people. So at any time, a researcher always wants to minimize the amount of bias in a survey. And if they think smileys do that, then that's why they might not use it. So
very sterile, very clinical then when it comes to
it just makes them less fun.
And even if you go like across different cultures, like those smileys can mean different things too. So
true.
There's a whole slew of things you need to think about.
Interesting. Well, I learned something new today.
Honestly, Danny, side note, that's a great topic discussion, is survey questions or cross-cultural differences, because we have learned a lot about that at Question Pro.
I'm gonna write that down.
Programming different surveys for different regions. It's fascinating. That could be its own survey topic. Let us know in the comments if you'd like to hear about that. Let
us know. We're always looking for fresh ideas. Alrighty. Well, then let's go to open-ended questions. This one, I believe, is qualitative data, where we can use more open-ended stuff where if you're not providing an answer to someone, they can answer in their own way, which can kind of help out with capturing details and like nuances and all that stuff. Do you guys have any favorite open-ended questions, or is it not like a thing to have favorite open-ended questions? Because I know you could definitely probably have one.
We could do a survey on people's favorite question types, which I think would be
really ironic.
Only do it market researchers.
I think more people would have a favorite closed-ended question type than open-ended question type, because open-ended question type would really depend on the survey and what you're trying to collect. It could be, how does this product make you feel, or different questions like that, depending on the nature of it, or even on like a customer, satisfaction survey. It could be, tell us more about your interaction with the cashier, or whatever it might be, right? And they don't necessarily have the answers prescribed or like predefined, but they want to get your opinion. So I don't know that's a favorite, but I know that typically in research, you want to keep these to a minimum, because in the survey, sometimes respondents don't want to take time to answer thoroughly. So you want to just keep it, to a minimum while still trying to get, rich responses that you can utilize. So, and then also, if you're thinking about closed-ended questions on the back end of the survey, meaning when you have to do the analysis and you have 400 different open-ended responses, it takes time to kind of weed through that and sift through it. So, I mean, there's different AI tools now that even Question Pro has that we can make use of, but there's a time element involved. So you want to be careful with how many open-ended questions you ask at a survey.
Yeah. Also, open-ended questions, they are the most unhinged. People, if they're going to commit to give feedback, they will give it to you. Some of the answers we get on surveys we field are wild. We just fielded, we're going to be releasing like the average spend for a bachelorette party. And we surveyed like 800 women, well, mostly women. It ended up being women, let's be honest. And
do men go to bachelorette parties? I don't.
do, because there's like there's like ones? What?
Like joint parties or what?
Yeah, but also like if you have like guy friends that are gonna come, like if they're in your wedding party, because there's like, and like bridesmaids are kind of becoming defunct. Anyways, it's a whole thing. But like anyways, let me get back to my unhinged open-ended question type. We asked people about like what are your concerns about bachelorette parties, because it ended up being like a $1,300 average people spend on a bachelorette party per person.
Per person. Oh my god.
Yeah. I've heard the cost is rising. Yeah, that's rising.
And so like the last bachelorette party I went to, I had to fly to Seattle. I had to pay for an Airbnb, a rental car, the food, the Taylor Swift tickets, my outfits, and a bridal gift.
And
the alcohol.
Oh my God, no.
Wow.
Right? Like, and so even if you split that among 8 people, like,
that's still a lot.
Yeah.
Did you said $1,300, right?
Mm-hmm. It's the same as
that's eerily close to the Taylor Swift.
It was very eerily close. I know. But the question types at the end, we asked like, what would you consider? How would you save money? And people got detailed, man. And so if you're willing to put in the effort to analyze your open-ended questions, you get really rich feedback, which is kind of what we talked about last week in qualitative versus quantitative. But don't just stick it in there. And I'm notorious for this. I'll just stick it in there for the tea and then not use any of it. Like, I just want to know. And then I don't use any of it in my research. So, like, don't stick it in there if you don't have a plan for it, unless you're like me and just like to cause chaos.
Makes sense.
I mean, I guess the best application for that kind of question would be as if you don't even know what the problem is yourself, right? I'm sure that
yeah, for sure. That's it.
Yeah, like some of the applications that at least I can relate to is like video game devs. If they're finding that a lot of people aren't really interacting with the game as much as they used to, that might be a good idea to bring that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they don't know like we talked about last week, they don't know the answer. Like, they can't give you a list of answers. Look, Danny's learning. I love this.
I'm learning. I actually retain information. Who knew?
I know, that's cool. Man. I like it.
Yeah, so I mean, those are the two, I guess, most basic ones I could really muster up, which is closed-ended and open-ended, but there is other ones that are called specialized question types. These are ones that I've also talked about on my TikTok page, just dedicated videos to each of these types of questions, like Likert scales, like we mentioned, matrix questions, ranking questions, and some other ones in there. Now for this one, matrix questions, I know that you can actually combine these with grids, and you can actually have like side-by-side grids now as well, which I thought was pretty cool. But do you guys have any other like specialized questions that you guys have used before, or would you guys recommend?
What's your favorite question, Dan?
Yeah, there you go. That's essentially the
this used to be a standing question on Live with Dan. If any of you guys have watched Live with Dan, in the very early year, we used to ask people what their favorite question type was, mostly because I like to cause chaos.
But a question I like to ask now is, what question type or methodology do you think needs to be left behind?
Ooh.
That one people have a hard time answering. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, because they know, but they don't want to cause drama.
This is the place for the drama. Let us know.
Yeah. I mean, from what the list you mentioned, I think a matrix question type is pretty common, right? So if you have a list of attributes or different questions that you want, different ranking on, it could be, hey, you went to the store, right? You want to know, was it cleanly? Were they friendly? Do they have everything you want? And then how much you agree or disagree. So that's pretty common to get a list of responses. I will say that keep your matrix questions like short, like no more than, I would say, 5 to 10. 10 is probably the max that I would do. I would keep it like less than that, because it gets very mundane for the respondent when they're just clicking different rating questions. So that's something. But in terms of like one of my favorite question types, it's got to be like a max diff question type, where you can essentially ask like from a list of things, what's your most and what's your least favorite, and then through that a series of like formulas or algorithms and people way smarter than me came up with, you get like different share of preference. So that like 25 or 35% of the people like purple, and 10% of the people like red, whatever it might be, and then you can make decisions based on that, and you get more of a definitive answer than you would like on a matrix question. So something to think about.
Very cool.
I can go on a little bit. So because in a matrix question,
this is the place to nerd out.
In a matrix question, like on a scale of 1 to 5, most of the time you'll find that the responses, the mean, like the average or mean, is like right around 3.5, 3.4. So you can't really make a lot of decisions on that because it's like right in the middle, right? So
Right.
but on a matrix question, if you can translate it to that or move it to that, you get more of a definitive answer. There you go.
You're so clever. Like, you don't want those middle of the road people. You need definitive
No.
answers.
I mean, people that are just like on the fence, like, get out of here, get on one side or the other. Let's go.
This also goes into like Dan's. I swear he says he doesn't, but I feel like Dan doesn't like NPS questions because he doesn't like the middle people. He doesn't like the passive people, and he's like, "Why would you even give them space to have a like?"
I think it should just be yes or no. Do you like this place or not? Like, let's go.
Are you into it or are you not into it? This is what you want. It's not gonna. When it comes to though open-ended questions, and Dan, you were saying this a little bit on our pre-call, was most people would not have considered like written questions, like open-ended questions, qualitative before. But with the rise, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. So I think traditionally in survey research, you'd have the mix. Mainly, in your survey, you'd have like the meat, right? You'd have those closed-ended question types, and then you have the potatoes with your open-ended question types. That it's not a big a portion as the meat, right? It's like a side dish. But typically, people wouldn't say like, "Oh, that's a more of a qualitative question type." But with the rise of video and including video question types in surveys, you get more of this like quali quant kind of mixture that's happening more and more. I think because people realize that the attention spans are short, they're trying to get the most out of the minutes, and if you have someone that wants to give a video response, video plays better when you're doing analysis. I feel like, and you want to be reporting on it to like the client. You can't replace like the video as opposed to just collecting open-ended or closed-ended data in a survey. So that's kind of the rise of what we call, quality quant, doing those.
I know. I need to start adding
together.
I need to start adding live cast to some of our surveys just to see how it works and how it plays out in our own marketing is something I've been thinking about a lot because it is so interesting. I think even as you have more digitally native people getting older, recording yourself talking about a product in a survey is like the barriers to entry to it are very low.
Yeah,
like we're already
It's easy now.
And we're already so used to recording ourselves for Instagram or TikTok. Like you're asking me to give you feedback in a survey, like super easy.
That's
100%. And it's even easier now because people are used to posting on, Instagram or TikTok, whatever it might be. And you don't have to like record it and then go to your computer and then upload it to like a separate deal. Like it's all done seamlessly in the survey. So the experience is better. Yes, Crystal?
Wait, so like when I do my surveys for PR things for like bachelorette parties, I could do the live cast question for those people we fielded to?
Yeah, you could.
Wow. Putting
I'm going to do that on the next one. We're going to do one about the Olympics.
Oh my goodness.
I like the Olympics.
The Olympics have been something this year.
I am stoked. Okay.
I like how the Olympics comes along every 4 years and it's like fun times and controversy all in the same one. But that's a whole nother deal. So
yeah. And I think Peacock is doing a great job. The multi-view on the Peacock app.
Oh, it's awesome.
Fantastic.
No complaints with Peacock. I love it. It's awesome.
I know, because 4 years ago, I think they learned because everybody complained about not being able to know when or where to watch them. And this year we like really just went for it.
Yeah. I think they got the multi-view too because like NFL Sunday Ticket, you can watch, 4 games at once.
I did not know that. I don't have that, Dan.
Oh, you should get it. It's awesome.
Sports.
I mean, I don't know how. I don't know.
Sports.
I've heard they have that. I don't know firsthand.
Right. Okay, we're
going off.
We're coming on hinge.
Guys.
We had a really great segue too. It was going into combining the question types, which is what you guys had already discussed. The mixed methods approach, where not only are you trying to find out, closed-ended question kind of things, but also just maybe leaving the very last question of the survey open-ended just to get some extra little morsel in there of information.
That's what I do.
Because you never know, But yeah, I mean,
Also, Danny, it's a good attention check too, to see if people are paying attention in the survey. And if they're just putting in NA or some, gibberish, and like, hey, that's probably not a good response. I want to throw that out and make sure that my data is clean and really get, it's good responses in there. So it's a great attention check question too.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Adrian Mendez puts it in there sometimes as spell blue into the box to like catch bots and stuff. And so then you have to type out blue into the open-ended. And then we can do like a verification on it.
Yeah.
I learned something new today as well. I mean, I guess like where would you, when you're designing these kinds of surveys, where would you think mixed methods are pretty crucial? Do you think it's more like when it comes to product design, or when it comes to like an actual like research for like a clinical trial or something like that? Where is the best place for this one?
I would say not clinical trials. I would say more product research or consumer research, and probably something that you're trying to maybe be a little more exploratory about, where you have some assumptions, but you want to leave it a little more open-ended.
Yeah.
That's when I think you probably bring in some of these more qualitative methods inside of your survey. So that's something that you can do. Another thing that is something that I think is becoming more common, and actually it's been around for a while, is based on like a certain set of responses. At the end of the survey, you might ask that person like, hey, we're interested in hearing more about you. Do you want to do a follow-up like 30-minute interview and earn $100? So that's something that they can do too. But I would say more often in consumer research, I think that's probably where more of these mixed methods are coming up.
I dig it.
I always get disqualified for those. People are like, oh, you're a marketing manager who will take surveys? Yeah. And then they're like, I'm like, yes, I am. But I also work for a market research firm. Like, you do. I will give you real answers, but you will not believe.
I know. You'll throw me out because you think I know all the tricks and secrets.
I know. I was like, I know all the tricks and secrets, but then you have to assume that I care to use them against you for your random market research study.
That always gets me, because I have opinions too. Just because I'm a researcher doesn't mean I can't take a survey.
Thank you. Thank you. Except now, sometimes at the end of like I went to an Austin FC game and they used a competitor for the follow-up survey. So in the end, in the open-ended at the end, I always go, and you should use Question Pro for your survey.
Oh my goodness.
That's awesome. I do love that.
I do it like almost on all the HEB ones too.
Oh, HEB is great. I like HEB. It's nice. Okay. Well, that pretty much concludes today's episode.
Wow, that was so fast.
I know. It really just breezed by. But
Dan's like, I have more to say, guys. I got more.
Yeah, I want to add a PS to this.
Oh, yeah.
There's a question type that we have called Deep Dive that is great, because you can ask like a closed-ended question where, what's the following do you like? And then based on their answer, you can have it an automated sort of like chatbot that it goes into, where AI will ask a question, and then based on your response, it'll ask another follow-up question. They'll do a series of 3 of those. So you can get a rich, both quantitative response mixed with a good qualitative response as well. So that's food for thought as we end this.
So now we're having.
Did you know that? Were we supposed to know that this is a product, Dan?
Start? No, for sure. Yeah.
I was like, right. I was like, is there a one-sheeter on this? Because I do not know.
There's a one-sheeter FRD. There's a little bit of everything on it. So yeah, there's a one-sheeter. There's a video on it too, and we talked about it at X Day last year too. Deep dive.
Yeah. See, that's not. You assume that I listen to when people talk at X Day.
Well, speaking of X Day, let's talk about it. So this year we're hosting it on October 3rd at the Thompson Hotel in Austin, Texas. If you guys have been enjoying these episodes, we're going to be there in person.
All 3 of us will be there.
All 3 of us. And if you guys want our autographs, maybe we'll give it to you. Just kidding. But if you guys want 100% off your registration, just use MRX Unplugged for that ticket. But yeah, I mean, I actually learned quite a bit this time. I'm really excited that I'm actually starting to use these episodes is an
Yeah.
actual learning process for me, just because, you know, it's my job. So
It's your job.
it is indeed.
I know. Yeah, come next day, you'll be a pro, Danny.
I know. I'm
You'll
so
be
excited.
a pro at Question Pro.
Pro at Question Pro.
Oh.
But yes, I'm so excited. I really hope that you guys join us for X Day. It's a very like unconventional conference. We're having a mechanical bull there for anyone that might not know, just to entice you a little bit more and make it seem a little bit less stuffy. But yeah.
Take every Insights conference that you've ever been to and make it like slightly unhinged.
I think like people win a prize if they stand for 8 seconds on the bull, you know, something
Ooh,
pretty cool.
100%
Something
we
like
can
that
give
would be fun.
prizes.
Yeah, there you go.
Dan and I give out a lot of prizes. Actually, Danny doesn't know that because she's never been to one. Dan and I do prizes for live polls. We do prizes that one year it rained into the room because the ceiling was leaking. We gave prizes to the people it rained on.
Yeah. We give out Starbucks gift cards if you do a bingo sheet. Even if you don't do the bingo sheet, we'll still give you a gift card. So.
If you've come for more than 2 or 3 X days, you get like, for every X day you've come to, you get like a larger prize. It's like a whole thing.
Yeah.
We got you covered, guys.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, thank you guys so much for this episode. I really, really enjoyed it. I thank you guys so much for your time. And for anyone watching, please leave a comment for any episode ideas or any questions that you had. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Awesome.
Bye.
All right, peace
Thanks,
out.
y'all. Bye.